Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome back to Beyond All Reason for an 8v8 cast on this beautiful map today. It is none other than Entrenched Plains, and we have Team Red over here in the west, and over on the eastern side we have ourselves Team Blue. Let's go ahead and get into player introductions, but before we do, please consider going down below, hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already, and also consider leaving me a like and a comment telling me which team you think is gonna win. As we get right into player introductions, starting with the Lime Green Armada going first vehicle, having to break my FAF tendencies there, by the name of Bruce. He's here to teach us fish are friends and not food, as we move up to his ally, who is most certainly some food. He is none other than Tet Cow, and he is a Neon Green Armada, and we don't know what vehicle or bot or air factory he's going to be going with. We'll see it in a little bit. As we move on to the plateau for our next ally of Team Blue, it is none other than a Teal Armada, and he has gone with some metal extractors and a couple of power generators, those wind farms, oh so important, and his name is Ranger Z, and he's going for a vehicle factory. As we move on to the Cyan Armada, who's gonna be going with a bot factory, it is none other than Baldy picking the best color today, even though you don't really pick your colors in this game. As we move on to the next player, he is a Cortex, he is going first bots, and he is Dubdara. Then over to his southeast, we have ourselves a navy blue kind of Armada player going first vehicles, and his name is Prime Federator. And then behind us here we have ourselves a purple Cortex going with a first bot factory with a beautiful name. It is none other than Big Fat Pussycat. And over here to the east of him we have the last player for Team Blue. It is none other than the Armada player with a bot factory early, We're gonna call him Dab. And then we can move on to Team Red and get on with our introductions. And I need to go ahead and change some camera settings here. We need to be at about there. Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. Gotta get used to setting that up beforehand. As we look at our first player for Team Red, he is a tan Cortex going first bots by the name of DDMK. And then up behind him, we have ourselves a brown Armada going first bots by the name of Nonchalanto. And then over to the north of him, we have a yellow Cortex player going first bots. It's none other than Pro Alco Desi. And then up on the plateau, we have two pink players, the light pink Ribby X going Cortex with a vehicle factory, and then the dark pink going first air as a Cortex. It is Fubar. And then down to the east of them and off the plateau, we have an orange Armada going first bots, and his name is No God. And then over to the north of him, we have a bright red Cortex player with a first vehicle factory by the name of Kobold. And last but not least for the entire game, we have a salmon colored Cortex going first bots, and his name is Jack Cheese. I'm sorry if I messed up any of those names, and of course I am excited to bring this game to you. It is gonna be a banger, so make sure you grab your popcorn and get settled in with a snack. But let's talk about the map a little bit here. and talk about what we can expect. I've been playing Bar quite a little bit more, and I can give you a little bit more insight into what's going on. So I'm gonna turn on drawing for a second, and I'm going to draw a little bit for you. So right here is this lowered entrenched area for which the map gets its name, Entrenched Plains, and this area is going to be very, very difficult to hold. The main reason for it are these plateaus marked with, for some reason it went into chat, marked with X's. They are going to be very difficult to deal with because you can just put towers up there, and fighting on the low ground is much like Star Wars. It's always a bad idea. It doesn't really go well. You want the high ground. So anybody trying to hold on to this territory, it's going to be an uphill battle, literally. Now, we also have these two plains that are up on the north and south side of the map, respectively. And this is where we are going to see a lot of our battles take place, because this is going to be the easiest area for players to navigate through and players to go back and forth on. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the map plays out. Let's go ahead and turn off drawing once again, and let's get in and talk about what these players are doing. As I said, here in the middle, the entrenched area down here is going to be a little bit harder to hold, but that is not dissuading Dubdara from just rushing out with his commander, and he's going to make his way into this entrenched area very quickly. Already has a bunch of grunts out onto the field, and he wants to take a very aggressive approach to this early game. He wants to get a lot of map control, and map control really is king in these SimPro RTS games. The more metal points you have faster, the more economy you get to build up in the back lines, and the more you get to punch the other person in the face with overwhelming firepower. Now, on the other side, they are not slacking, and they are not playing slowly. We have No God and Kobold moving up. I really like what No God did up here. He built on this plateau, and he built a radar up there. Similarly, on the other side, Baldy is doing the same. He's also going to throw up some anti-airs I saw queued there. And yep, he does have anti-air queued there. Very important to get some anti-air early on. You don't want one bomber to ruin your entire game. And one of the players over on Red Team did go with an early air factory, so that could have been a possibility, but with those early anti-air towers should be avoidable. Also, Alco Pro Desi does seem to just kind of be the meta here. Build the radar on one of these plateaus. Radar is affected by line of sight, so if you build it up higher, it will be more effective. So I'm very happy to see these kind of strategies come out, and maybe it'll help my play a little bit, just get some ideas from these players. And of course, Fubar, Alco, Desi, DDMK, No God, Kobold, Jack Cheese, and Ribby X all sending their comms forward. Pretty much everybody on the red team except for Nonchalanto getting their comms forward and into the mix. Meanwhile, on the blue team, we have Tech Cow, Bruce, Dab, and Ranger leaving their comms in the base. So, for the early game, you're going to have a lot less D-gun opportunities for blue team, which I'm thinking could be a pretty dangerous situation. But on the other side, there's going to be a lot less commanders at play, a lot less chance for you to lose commanders early. And losing a commander early can be a devastating blow, especially if you cannot manage to get the 2,000 reclaim that it drops. Dubdara over here, he's well aware, and he does seem to be a pretty high-rated player. That seems like a pretty high-rated kind of symbol there, is aware of the disadvantage of this entrenched zone, and he's going to try and go ahead and like get an early negation up on it. He's going to build a light laser tower right on the edge here, and you can see with the line of sight this light laser tower has, it's going to be able to fire down into there, but more critically, it will be able to try and deny this metal extractor, try and deny this area, and if he can do that, that will be great. Also, just realize we've been on 0.5 this entire time. I don't think we want to watch a slow motion cast. Sorry about that. I put it to 0.5 for player introductions and then forgot. But hey, it gave us more time to talk about the map, and for some reason, I just lost something on, I lost my controller. Let's go ahead and get my controller plugin running up again. For some reason, I've been having some technical difficulties with things just kind of failing on me today. But we have the controller back and enabled, and let's go ahead and see if I can maybe fix this. Let's go ahead and go into widget selector. And let's go into camera joystick disable, enable, and there we go. All right. So, yeah, probably should have just paused whenever I did that, but I decided not to. And over here in the middle, we have a little bit of fighting going on between the units of Ranger Zed and, of course, Ribby X. And we have Duality. He's trying to throw up a bunch of laser towers. Ribby X needs to be careful. He's going to get his laser tower up second. And maybe he's not in range of that laser tower just yet, but if he is, that could be very dangerous once these units die out, because he cannot really afford to take laser shots. Laser towers just do a lot more damage to that commander, and you can already see that commander's HP, it's just falling so quickly due to that laser tower. He starts to fall back, but he's down to 20 HP, and he's gonna be knocked down, or 20% HP, I should say, and now Ribby Z goes down, and nuclear hellfire. That's gonna be very unfortunate for Team Red, already losing one of their players, and also going to go ahead and up the volume here for all of the units. Seems very quiet, whereas the music quite overpowering. In fact, let's just go into the settings. Sorry, it's just settings times, everybody. Battle is gonna go up and music is gonna go down a little bit, and that's gonna be an editing nightmare for me, but hey, that's okay, as Dubdara and Fubar here in the middle are now the ones dueling. Alco Pro Desi is going to be walking into a whole bunch of grunts out from Big Fat Pussycat, but it's not really going to result in too much. We also have some, I believe, pawns as well as Lazarus down here in the southern side for Dab, and those are going to do very well. Meanwhile, we have a little bit of fighting going on between Jack Cheese, Kobold, and Baldy. We also have a few units out over here for Tech Cow, but no commanders in the area for Tech Cow because his commander is still safely in that base. Bruce is really kind of nowhere to be seen, and actually note, these are Bruce's units. They are not Tech Cow's units, I don't believe, or... No, these have to be. There's just a lot of green. Those two greens very close to each other, hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure those are Tech Cow's bots because Bruce does not have a bots factory, which would make sense. Baldy is setting up his little bit of a fire base. That cliff-mounted light laser tower out from Dubdara did not manage to stay alive very long, as the units out, or the laser towers out from No God, win the fight. And Dubdara has managed to move out and grab quite a bit of map control here, and he's looking very strong. He's very far extended here in the middle. In fact, extended past the lines of Alco Prodesi, No God, Kobold, Jack Cheese, and Nonchalanto. And that means he's in a bit of an exposed position, but if he can manage to hold on to this, it will skyrocket his economy. Has missed a metal extractor or two, but hey, we're all imperfect. We're all human. Nobody's perfect. And Prime Federator, Big Fat Pussycat, now holding up this southern side. On the northern side, we have a bit of a push now coming in from Dubdara. It looks like he's going to be able to get past the defenses of Kobold, and he's going to be able to get a metal extractor. He's going to be in the back line. Will he be able to go further? Runs into a couple of vehicles and then gets forced into more vehicles. Loses a lot of his grunts there, but that's gonna be a pretty successful little raid there. Get a metal extractor, get some damage done, really force your opponents to be a little bit worried, and that's gonna go pretty well for him. Meanwhile, over here on the southern side, we have some skirmishing going on between Desi and Big Fat Pussycat. We also have a lot of units now building up for Dab, and he also has all these Lazarus, which critically can revive wrecks of units. In FAF, you can only really reclaim wrecks, but in this game, you can very, very easily turn a dead army into a living one. You can be the zombie man, if you would. And right now, we're looking at a bit of a kind of stalemate here in the early game. No real fluid fighting. I'm sure we'll see more of that as the game goes on, but the defenses are just a little bit too strong, probably waiting for that tier 2 to come out. Looks like a bit of an air raid, or maybe these are just scouts coming out from our boy Fubar, and in comes the bombers. I think they're bombers. Are they bombers or are they scouts? We'll see very soon if they are. And those are scouts, but there's a bomber in behind this, and it goes in, killing off a lot of the power of Bruce. It's almost dead, but if it can get a few more drops off, and no, they were bombers, they just didn't really have any intel, so they had to fly over first. Metal converters, advanced solar plants, all going up in flames for Tech Cow. Those 2 AAs I mentioned earlier did not manage to save them. They were not far enough north on the map, and now Bruce and Tech Cow are paying the price for their lack of due diligence, and Tech Cow really getting pummeled here. And Fubar gonna be very, very happy with his air raid there. Very cool to see that going on. Meanwhile, we're starting to see some fighting break out in the south. Let's go ahead and pan over, see how that's going. It does seem as though Dab, using some of these I think they're called Centurions. Yes, Centurions to push forward. They're not very metal efficient, but, oh wait, no, these are maces, not Centurions, sorry, still learning the name, but these light plasma bots, they are a little bit more metal efficient as far as I can tell, and eco-efficient, and they're up against thugs, which are their counterpart from the Cortex. The maces here did get a little bit of a win, but that elevated terrain there gonna make it very difficult for him to continue to push forward, so he does fall back, does hold the line, but a bit of a fight breaking out there. Meanwhile, in the middle, Dubdara refusing to stand down, refusing to give any ground. He's built up some heavy laser towers. These wardens out from him, they're going to be very useful, but he needs to make sure they don't get overwhelmed. Their weakness really is that slow fire rate. You can see zap, 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 and they're just gonna take a lot of damage. Needs to be careful here, needs to make sure he keeps things here to defend this, but he's had to throw Cloak onto his commander, which means he's gonna have a lot of power struggles very soon as he's just trying to get out, and it looks like this position is no longer tenable for the dark blue Cortex player. And the rocket bots coming out over here, these aggravators out from Pro Alco Desi, gonna be able to decimate the defenses of Dubdara. And we continue to move a little bit further into the mid-game of this match. No God also has his own force that's going to push into the middle, and now the battle lines have kind of been drawn. It's about the middle of the map where these players have drawn the lines, and it's going to be very even. Overall metal count is within the margin of error. Both teams somewhere around, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. Salvage really makes this difficult to pay attention to, but I'm guessing they're both somewhere around 220, 230 metal income per second. A lot more salvage going to be going on over for the red team for some reason. I'd love to know the reasoning behind that. But the red team, of course, down that one commander. We're going to have to see if that comes back to bite them at all, as Jack Cheese has built up a warden of his own, and it's honestly in kind of a better position, has a lot more support around it, and he has one in the back line to protect it. And Baldy is going to struggle to find a way to really get in here and deal some damage to this warden. Does get a few rocket bots into range, does get these rocketeers in here, going to start trying to deal damage, but there's construction towers repairing it. And Baldy might be forced off this position if he is unable to get up his own version. He's trying to go for a beamer, but I don't think beamer's the call. I think you have to go for the heavy laser tower, and that is the beam laser tower, which is slow but consistent DPS. And Dubdara getting a huge run by in here. He tried it a little bit earlier, and he's trying it again. He wants to get some damage done. He wants to kill off some metal extractors, but unfortunately for him, there is a Brute. Oh wait, no, this is a Czar onto the field. I think Brute is the version that the Armada get, and it's going to be able to be very effective at killing off these grunts. Each shot going to pick off a few more of them. Does manage to get one metal extractor, but no more. And in the middle of the map, we've seen a commander explode. Sorry, I missed that. Hard to keep tabs on. I believe that was the commander of DAP, or maybe it was Big Fat Pussycat. I guess we can look around and very quickly figure out, as in fact more commanders are going up. I'm missing them left and right. It's now 7 commanders to 6 with the lead over to Team Blue. And it does seem as though that was the commander of Big Fat Pussycat going down, and one of the other commanders went down. I wonder if that was a intentional destruction or a kill on the front line, or maybe there was a trade going on over there between Big Fat Pussycat, and it seems as though Pro Alk Desi has lost his commander as well. So those two players both commanderless. Not that it really affects the gameplay. You still get to control all your units and such. Fubar trying to get some cliff builds of these light laser towers up here, trying to get some damage done. Some forward advanced solar panels out over here for Baldy, I believe. Or no, that's Prime Federator. And Prime Federator on the front lines, he's built an advanced vehicle factory. He's getting out those lightning tanks. Can't remember their name. It is, of course, the Jaguar. And over here in the middle, a Beamer is trying to fight off a Mace. An explosion of a commander that was killed off by Dab. Dab killing off another commander, so now it's 7 versus 5. That had to be the commander of Nonchalanto, or no, not Nonchalanto, that had to be DDMK losing his commander there. And man, he has a lot of hounds out here getting a lot of value and a lot of movement happening on this southern side. Meanwhile, on the northern side, a equal amount of movement, and we're starting to see a yin-yang effect. Let me go ahead and turn drawing back on temporarily, and I'm just gonna kind of show you what's going on in the match so far. I know a lot of people have trouble tracking what's going on, but right now we're going to be seeing Team Red. They're getting an advantage over here on the northern side as we see another commander, this one for, of course, Nonchalanta going down, but Team Red gaining ground over against Baldy, Bruce, and Tech Cow. Meanwhile, on the southern side, we're seeing Prime Federator, Dab, and Big Fat Pussycat making ground against the players Pro Alk Desi, DDMK, and of course Nonchalanto, who have all lost their commanders. And that's what we're looking at right here. And the units out over here, that was the commander up there of Tech Cow, I believe. Nope, it was the commander of Bruce. Those two colors are really messing with me, and they're right next to each other. Going down, Dubdara on a transport, trying to get his commander over here. What is the purpose of putting the commander over here? Maybe he just wants to stop this flank from falling, but how does he intend to do that? I guess we're gonna have to keep an idea on that, or keep an eye on that, I should say. And right now, Dubdara and Baldy gonna have to hold out over here on this northern side. Dubdara losing ground in the middle, but he does have a lot of production. He has a decent base built up here. He's building up those hounds. Or maybe those are Sheldons. I can't quite remember. No, these are Arbiters, and these are Sheldons. So he's getting up some longer range or firepower over here. And we still have 2 Zars out over here, and they're really being a problem. Kobold gonna be in a very strong position with those heavy, super heavy attack assault bots. Or assault tanks, I should say. And let's just get a shot of this. These wind power generators, these wind farm is about to go up in flames. Gonna get a beautiful shot of it right here. One more shot out, a D-gun out for one of the players. Oh no, the Tsar decides to retarget the commander of Dubdara, who just comes in and double D-guns them in the face. And that's going to be a very, very powerful play out from Dubdara. Really buy a lot of breathing room for his team. But on this north side, Team Blue is hurting bad. But on the south side, Team Blue is making inroads. We're going to have to go over here and check out this. The entire base of DDMK now under threat. He did take a lot of damage. We kind of missed it looking at the rest of the map. He is somewhat recovering with the help of Pro Alk Desi, who has managed to get out a few Sheldons to help out over here. But now we're starting to see these assault bots. They have a very cool name. They are lightning bots. Oh wait, no, these are gunslingers, skirmishing bots coming out from Dap, and Dap just continues to get a lot of damage done. Solar farms going up, advanced construction going up. That base there, that factory, advanced bot factory, almost assuredly gonna die here in a moment. And here Sue DDMK gives up his base. Pro Alcdesi gets it, but it's not like there was much to get in the first place, as right now Dap is making inroads, and Dubdara has really made a hero play and saved his northern side, whereas for the western team, the southern side is in tatters. It's falling apart. Nonchalanto's base gonna be raided by fiends and raided by gunslingers, and Dap is just making good plays left and right as he pushes into the base of Nonchalanto. That base is barely going to survive, mainly thanks to a light laser tower and some maces coming online. But now we have some units coming out from Big Fat Pussycat, mostly fiends. Those flamethrower bots trying to get in. I don't think they're going to get too much damage done, but it's starting to look dangerous. This southern side needs to shore up its defenses for the red team, and the blue team needs to maybe try and focus their efforts on gaining ground in the north. They've done so much damage in the south. If they can just take a little bit more map control in the south and then focus their efforts on the north, focus on the strong players on the enemy team, No God, Kobold, and of course Jack Cheese, and all of these players up here that have just done so well, that could be a huge play for the blue team. Meanwhile, the red team, they need to shore up these defenses. They need to get a little bit better positioning, I believe. And they really need to retake some of this area in the south. Maybe we could see someone like No God come in and start trying to wage war on players like Prime Federator, Big Fat Pussycat, and and Dab, who are really just kind of running away down here in the south. Prime Federator now building up quite an army, has that advanced factory built up very far forward. And No God, probably the best person in position to help there, although Pro Alco Desi, he's starting to gain some territory back. He's built up a few Sheldons. He can use those as a defensive line and maybe get something happening. And we've kind of reached a little bit of a stalemate, neither side feeling like they can push forward. These Arbiters coming out from Dubdara, I love the Arbiter, these super long-range missiles, gonna be able to get some damage done from afar. And Fiends coming out from Dubdara, as well as Sheldons up on this hill, and you can just really see, as I was talking about, this hill, these plateaus making this trench area just so untenable to hold. Really, nobody has metal extractors in here except for the ones very close to their main base, because things like Sheldons, things like Hounds, things like these artillery bots, these Mausers, are just going to make it impossible to hold here. So the real areas you have to play for are the plains. You have to play for the north and south side of the map. Meanwhile, over here in the south, we have Sheldons getting approached by Fiends. Fiends having a little bit of pathing trouble there. Sheldons should be able to deal with that. A Sumo sent out, little trash can with a laser gun. You love to see him stepping around, doing his thing. And of course, we have a gunship now out from Fubar. That is, of course, a Wasp gunship out from him. He's really focused on the air this game, and honestly, it paid off in the north. Although I'm not sure how useful it's going to be moving later into this game. Ranger Zed hasn't gone for air, and he's kind of the player in the opposing position here. Although I can't really tell you what Ranger Zed has gone for. He's sitting on a relatively low economy even for his team. I mean, 50 mass a second, or 50 metal a second. It's not horrible, but it's really not great. Overall metal income, red team is up by about 100. That might be salvage related and could be within margin of error, but it's hard to tell. Both teams have passed that 500 metal a second mark, and we're going to start seeing experimentals coming out, on T3 units coming out from these players very, very soon. Would not be one bit surprised to see an experimental gantry built up by especially a player like Dab, who has been in a good position, but Dab going for something that I've seen a couple of times, and it's kind of just one of those things. I mean, we can check on his economy right now. He's sitting on a cool 188 metal a second, and he's just throwing up a ton of normal bot factories. Could see huge amounts of grunts, or no, he's Armada, so pawns coming out from him, and he's getting up advanced fusion reactors and advanced energy converters to get his eco online and running a little bit faster, and that could be huge. He could throw a lot of metal into a lot of cheap units and really just go with that strategy of drown them in the blood of my units, or drown them in the blood of my soldiers. Just penal colony, go for those overwhelming numbers. And over here in the middle, No God, he has some anti-air, he has some units built up, he has his commander on the front, but you gotta be a little bit worried. He's facing a combined arms front between Dub, Baldy, and I would assume Tetcow and Bruce will get something out here soon to help. And we're seeing a lot of units now starting to trade. Down here on the south, Sheldon's with mammoths in front to try and protect for Pro Alco. Desi has some sumos also coming in front, getting some assistance out from Ribby X. We haven't really talked about too much this game, but Ribby X is now in the land game trying to help out the southern side of his map, and the southern side starting to look a little bit better for the red team, and the northern side looking a lot better for the blue team. Gains being made on both sides where they were once weak. And Dab, though, is kind of the outlier here. He stopped really producing units, and he's got such a strong economy. I'd like to see him get something happening here soon, because he's starting to lose a lot of territory, very likely thanks to the advanced vehicles now coming out from our boy Ribby X, as well as the advanced bots coming out from Desi. These T2 units really starting to make inroads, and I don't know how Dab is going to deal with this. Really needs to turn on that production if he's going to turn it on. He needs to turn it on right now and get out a lot of units just to soak damage and stop it from getting too far towards his base. Although it does seem as though Ribby has fallen back. The threat of fiends out from Big Fat Pussycat scaring him off, at least in the short term. And Dub, he's kind of playing the field. He's kind of on all fronts. He took this middle position and he's trying to help wherever his team is weak, and I really like that play coming out from him. Now down over here, we have almost a constant battle. Sheldon's coming in. Tigers, Sheldons, and Hounds, oh my, just constant fighting. A D-gun out from Dab would be good here. Doesn't really go for it. Beamer up on that hill, getting that slow, consistent damage. Tachyon Accelerator now built up on that hill for Prime Federator, a very strong defensive tower. And Mammoth trying to push in, gets killed off by the Tachyon Accelerator for Prime Federator. And over here to the north, we're now seeing a lot of Fiends coming out from Dub, but they're just getting killed off by Sheldons. And there's a ton of Lazarus now built up by No God, trying to repair, trying to get himself set up again, but he's really fighting a losing battle. All of these Mausers getting a ton of value over here. Out for, I believe that's Prime Federator. Is that really him over here? No, that is Baldy. And Prime Federator, he is the one who has the Mausers that I was talking about. Baldy just has the large land army, dissuading any forward movement. And over here on the south side, we can now see what I was talking about. Dab is going for overwhelming amounts of pawns right now. And his opponent has gone for Razorbacks, the first T3 unit I've seen so far, and they're coming out from Pro Alco Desi, and honestly, Razorbacks with those Gatling guns, kind of great at killing off pawns, so this was kind of preemptively countered, although he needs a few more. He needs anti-swarm towers as well, and he's getting those built up. Those anti-swarm towers right here, they're very good at killing off pawns. Twin guards for the Cortex there, or actually those might be Armada. It's hard to tell. He has both techs, because the Razorback, I believe, is an Armada option, but he has Cortex as well in his base. Just very interesting to see. The Razorbacks, if they can get up in enough numbers, can just start to push the pawns back, but the pawns running in mass. Very, very fun to see this. I'm very happy to see all of these units coming out from Dab, and it looks very nice when you just see this wave of units pouring out from one player, even mixing in some Ticks, some Lazarus. Just has a lot of units moving forward, but it does seem as though Pro Alkdesi, with the help of Fubar and his other allies, is going to be able to make something happen there. Going to be able to stop that, at least temporarily. But it does kind of keep him pinned in his base, which might be the idea there. Meanwhile, on the northern side, a bit of a push being attempted now by Kobold and No God, but I don't think they're going to get too much done. They did manage to take out the Mausers. They did manage to gain a tiny bit of territory, but they're not able to continue pushing forward here. I mean, maybe they could, but they just don't feel confident in it currently. And down to the south, so many units dying. It's just going to be a constant wave of death. But anytime there is even a slight slip up, now we're going to see a lot of problems show up. If they can get rid of these laser towers, if they can get maybe some Arbiters or some Mausers in range to just destroy those, it's going to be a bad situation for this southern side on Team Red. And up on the northern side, up in the middle, we have a ton of Sheldons now coming out from Jack Chi as he wants to start pushing up against Prime Federator. And it's looking like he's going to be able to do it slowly but steadily. Push against him. I don't know how well he's going to fare against the Tachyon Accelerator. I don't know if Sheldon's outrange that, but the terrain may help them out there as a bunch of units up from Prime Federator just get killed off by all these Sheldons. And now we see a ton of Fiends out over here for Big Fat Pussycat, and just a lot of units in general over here for Dab. I wonder what unit population cap is and how close he's going to get to it. That's my honest question here. He is going for an experimental gantry, so that might change up here soon. May switch off of the overwhelming pawn strategy and switch to something else. There's 3 Tachyon Accelerators up on this hill. If he can shut those down, that'll really open up areas for his team to attack. And we can just see all of these units moving in. Sorry if there's any frame rate dips. VSync really kills the frame rate, but without VSync, we have to endure a stuttering bug at the moment. So any frame drops are up to that. And we have all these pawns just pouring in, and it's very, very satisfying to watch. And the pawns slowly but surely are pushing forward. I mean, most of these pawns are dying. The Sheldon seemingly able to just keep out of range, but a lot of these defenses are now going down because the defenses can't run away. And that's going to open up this northern side a little bit for the blue team, as we have ourselves, I believe this is a Juggernaut. Yes, indeed, out for Kobold. A very fun unit out onto the field. Going to be supported by Jack Cheese's overwhelming Sheldon army. And that is going to be a very dangerous thing. Blue team needs to come up with a solution, and quick. I guess you always have that Dubdara cloak and walk towards it, but he can only get away with that so many times. It's not a long-lasting strategy. And the Juggernaut's gonna start pushing forward. The units over here for Baldy trying to make a bit of an attack seems ill-fated. There's just too much defenses built up here, and he's gonna be in a rough position. And the Juggernaut's about to show up, and all of the units for Baldy are about to be dead. They could have been very useful against that Juggernaut. And now the north side looking like it may just capitulate. It's really down to Dubdara getting a hero play and killing that Juggernaut. And even then, it's looking a little bit suspect. Tachyon Accelerator on that Juggernaut just going to work, and all of those Fiends go down. Meanwhile, down to the south, another wave is building up for Dab, and Dab is going for mass vanguard. You can see down here these four-legged artillery walkers. They're very good. They're a heavy plasma cannon. But up to the north, Dubdara, he's gonna go for the cloak. He's gonna go for the kill onto the Juggernaut. He's down to very low HP. If he goes for the kill, he dies, but no! It seems as though he wasn't able to save himself with cloak there. So Dubdara losing the commander there, and the Juggernaut gonna continue to push forward. And this might be the straw that breaks the camel's back for Team Blue. There's still hope, but it's really diminishing very quickly. And right now, this Juggernaut, it's doing its damnedest to push forward. Its HP is still 89%. It's still very, very healthy. A D-gun is kind of what you need to deal with this. But unfortunately, 5 commanders left. You don't want to start wasting commanders just in a hopes that you kill the Juggernaut. We now have some vanguards coming out. That might be a solution, but it's going to be a slow one until he has a critical mass built up. Fat Boy's now in assistance out from, I believe that's No God with the Fat Boys there to assist the Juggernaut. And the Juggernaut is going to continue to fight it out here. The Vanguards, they're building quickly, but really just not quickly enough. And we need to go check the other side. Are they making any inroads against the defense of Pro Alkdesi? And the answer really is no. Pro Alkdesi is just being a stalwart defender for his team, and is exactly what his team needs. But the question is, how long can he hold this out as Vanguards start to amass over here for Dab? It's going to get harder and harder. Razorbacks moving in, but the Vanguards, as long as they can get away, you can see them scaling the mountain here, are in a good position. That Juggernaut slowly making its way forward. And the Vanguards doing well. Juggernaut goes down, which is a huge win for the blue team. But they lost a lot to kill that. And now the Vanguards sitting up on this hill, some of them defying gravity, but hey, that's okay. Now going to be able to come down as most of the Razorbacks have been dealt with. There are still a couple kicking around, but the Razorbacks have to close the distance, and it's very difficult for them to do so. And the pawns are just eating up so much damage for these Vanguards. And the Razorbacks just eating broadsides out from these Vanguard groups. And that's going to be dead Razorbacks over and over and over. We also see these rapid fire mobile artillery, heavy artillery trimmers. They're mini catalysts. We saw those in the last cast. They're tiny little fidget spinners of doom. I really like these units, I just gotta say. And they're really trying to shut down those Vanguards. And the Vanguard's gonna start eating a lot of damage here. Another Juggernaut now on the way, at least under construction. In the background there, you can see it. For Kobold. I would have loved to see if he just started amassing them, but it seems as though he went for a little bit more economy. He wants to build them faster. I really like, once I build my first Juggernaut, to just keep building them. Why have one Juggernaut when you can have many? And Razorbacks pushing forward. A bunch of Vanguards have now gone down to a combination of Razorbacks and those Trimmers, but the Trimmers also taking quite the beating there. We now have Catapult, heavy rocket bots also in the area to try and combat those Vanguards, and at least temporarily Dab's mass Vanguard strategy not really looking like it's going to work out. It's going to be more of a defensive option, at least for the moment. Up here on the northern side, I believe we're seeing a play out from No God. It's going to be Mass Shiva. I believe that's No God going for that. That might be Kobold. Now that I look at it more, I think it's Kobold. And we just saw a major explosion. I think that was... That seems like a commander, or maybe that was a nuke. Hard to tell. It's 5 commanders for blue team versus 3 for red team. Overall medal income, 1.39 thousand for team red versus 1.7 thousand or roundabouts for blue. Blue team massively ahead economically now. And it's going to start showing very soon. Red team, they've been on the back foot on the southern side, but the northern side was always looking good. But now the northern side's starting to look a little bit precarious with all of these units coming out from Baldy. With a Thor now on the way for Baldy, as well as some Wardens up on this hill. He's starting to push back. Dubdara's assistance was well worth it. And now I believe that's a Titan. Yeah, that is indeed a Titan coming out from our boy Ranger Zed. It's the counterpart to the Juggernaut. It really doesn't feel as big as the Juggernaut, does it? Like, there's the Juggernaut over there, and here's the Titan. I think the Titan is just slightly weaker. Like, it's 13,000 metal and has an HP of 69,000. Nice. Versus 149,000 and 29,000 metal. So, maybe metal for metal, it's better. But it just doesn't feel like a Juggernaut. Is there like a... Am I missing it? Is there like a Behemoth or something? I remember seeing Behemoth somewhere. Let's just go ahead and select this land factory. Titan, Thor... Wait, I don't even know where you'd build the Behemoth. Or is the Behemoth something the Cortex get? Let's find out. Oh, the Behemoth is something the Cortex get, and it's like a... heavy turret. Yeah, the Cortex just kind of get the bigger experimentals. But as I said, they may not be metal efficient. As meanwhile over here we have Trimmers, we have Vanguards, we have Shivas, and we have a lot of destruction. But on this northern side, this is what I want to watch. The Titan walking into some tachyon accelerators. That's going to be no good. No God causing no good for Ranger Zed. As Juggernaut versus Titan. Juggernaut wins that alone, but Juggernaut didn't even have to get involved. Meanwhile, on the other side, we have the overwhelming artillery wars, and it seems as though the Trimmers may have been called once again. Not very many wrecks are going to be laid about on either side. Alrighty everybody, so we had a game crash, and there's been about 2 hours of troubleshooting in between the jump cut there. I don't know how this was edited. It'll make sense. But yeah, I tried reinstalling the game, did a whole bunch of stuff. Turns out I had to lower the frequency of my RAM to make it stable. And we're back into the cast. I have kind of lost the script here. Don't know what I was talking about before, but we have this beautiful fight going on over on this southern flank over here. And we have all these vanguards showing up. We have a bunch of Razorbacks being stockpiled right now by Pro Alco Desi. I'm a little bit worried for Team Red though, because they're gonna be in definitely the harder position of the two teams to deal with this. So, gonna be interesting to see. Also, my camera seems to be a little bit messed up. It won't let me go outside the bounds of the map anymore like it was earlier. I'll have to figure that out. But while we look at this beautiful battle, we see a Juggernaut showing up. The Razorbacks all go out and they're just getting mowed down by all of these Vanguards. It's just a slaughter here. These Razorbacks are cheap, but you don't want to be throwing them away like that. Not a good trade coming out from Desi there. And over here on the northern side, it's it's looking relatively bad for Team Blue as well. Also, sorry, something's gotten changed with the reinstall, and I have to go through settings again, but I wanted to get this cast out and finished for you. But yeah, there's definitely some differences with the frame rate between the two recording sessions, differences with just a lot of little things. So I'm gonna have to fix that up in future, but for now we can make this work. Juggernauts on both sides of the map. And that is going to be interesting to watch. It's kind of a Juggernaut race, but one side is using Thors and the other is using Razorbacks, and I think Thors are a little bit better at fighting Juggernauts than Razorbacks. Only a little bit, though. A Razorback over here for Kobold is going to fall back. Desi needs to come up with a defense because that Juggernaut, it's pushing in, and it's pushing in quick. And that is going to be no bueno for the yellow Cortex player. Does have the Juggernaut down to around 50% HP. Maybe if he can take that down, he'll be good. But he has to take that down and then take down all of these Vanguards. And you can just see back there in the background, the Vanguards are just, they're going to slowly move up. They're going to slowly cause more and more issues. We have some air units now showing up from Fubar, Dragons. They're just transports. They're really not, I don't think, meant for this kind of air-to-ground combat role, but it's what he has, so he's going to go ahead and throw it in there. And now we have a Thor coming out from Desi, going to try and deal with that Juggernaut, but I'm not sure it's going to do anything. And that Juggernaut there, it's taking a lot of damage. And it's down to 37% HP, but it's getting in towards the base of Desi. It's only got a few more steps, and it's going to be knocking on the door of the most important base in the game right now, arguably. And all of the construction turrets go down for Desi. That's critical. And his entire base goes down with it. Oh no, it's a disaster for the red team, and that's pretty much it. I don't think, I mean, it's either that or we're looking at a base race, but the Juggernaut over here for Kobold, I mean, he has two Juggernauts. Maybe he can turn this into a base race scenario. He has to push, and he has to push now. He's dealing with a lot of spam coming out from Baldy, though. Baldy also has some Vanguards. He's trying to play his range advantage and just give time for, on the other side, Dab and Big Fat Pussycat to make their mark known. Big Fat Pussycat has lost his Juggernaut, but that's a ton of Vanguards pushing forward, and there's just no answer. There's also, I mean, it's just the pawns at this point are a problem that doesn't really have an answer. They're going to be able to keep pushing forward, keep pushing in. There's so many of them. You can just see them flooding across the map on your mini-map there. And it's just looking very dangerous. Red team needs to get a huge win on the other side. And on top of all of this, it's 5-3 commanders. Red team is down on commanders. And over here to this side, one of the Juggernauts forced to fall back after taking too much damage. And there's just this constant fight going on. And let's go ahead and see. Maybe we were on a sped up version right there. I'm not really sure. I just don't know why the frame rate is so horrible. Let's just go ahead and pause really quick. Is there a setting that I can see very quickly that will help here? 2 times on that. We need that to be adaptive still. Is there anything else here that might be causing this? Unit tracks. We'll turn off this for now. And where is it? Trying to find it. I'll probably cut this out. I'll definitely cut this out. Alright, after pausing and fixing some of that, we're getting mildly better FPS. I don't know, it's just very noticeable to me. I'm sorry about this drop in quality. But we, of course, have this Juggernaut pushing forward. One of the Juggernauts had to fall back. It was just too low on HP. It's going down, and I think the red team, yes, the red team have resigned. And that's gonna be it for us today. Thank you all for watching. You're so beautiful. Please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting down below. Tell me what you think of Bar. And also, please consider joining the channel membership or the Patreon. It supports me so much. It's so helpful for the channel in general. And you get certain benefits like your name at the end of the video with Patreon, or at many dualities and higher, you can have access to every video early on the channel membership. You all are oh so beautiful. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to the players. This is Willow, signing off.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, baby, you'll get sick of being the